So here we are on the third screen of Milchmain Road at this particular corner. Insulating tape. Excuse me, that wasn't meant for you. Put it back. Well, actually it was. I feel so much better now. So with that, we have 187 chests. That is the magic number before leaving Roland's. We have everything here. Now, it's not 100% vital that you get that before you leave, because we can come back to this area later, but still I like to be efficient. So, yeah, no more missed chests. So that's good. And while I'm here, I may as well mention a few things. So I went to Esmella's tower and grinded a couple of shining poms. So Estelle is now level 61, as is Schera. Tita is at level 60, and Zin is at 59. He really could stand to be a bit higher, but oh well. In tactics, Zin learned True Disable, and Tita learned Cannon Impulse 2. Zin, I believe, also learned, I think it should show here, yes, he learned True Distend. Now, the next time I use Zin in a battle, you're gonna see this and see just how ridiculous this is. And we may as well see Luke off before we go. Yeah, Luke woke up from the coma. Let me guess, it was about how you were an awesome bracer and everyone loved you and you were the best in the entire world. Yeah, I predicted that pretty much 100% accurately. Yes, I believe TV Tropes refers to this as her code name was Mary Sue. Whenever a character writes a piece of in-universe fiction about themselves, they will inevitably depict themselves as a gigantic Mary Sue / Gary Stu. Oh yeah, sure, that's the reason. But it looks like Luke is kinda learning to be polite for once. But the duel is still on. Estelle is gonna have to hold back a lot. Because chances are the next time we see Luke, Estelle's gonna be even stronger than she is now. So let's head on over to the landing port. This is not the landing port. That's the kind of thing that I'd normally cut out, but that was just so funny that I'm going to leave that in. This is the landing port. Okay, sometimes it's easy to get confused between the two northern exits of Roland. So before we leave, there aren't actually a lot of recipes that we need to pick up in this chapter. So what we need is 10-stack crepe, spiral noodles, 3-eyed soup, bone bouillon, mighty juice, and pepper potage. So let me just quickly look over to see if I've got those. And checking the Bracer notebook, you should have 212 BP. So, that is everything. Let's go. Yes, heading out. Fortunately, we're leaving you for a while, Mr. Pervert Receptionist. Yeah, well, by a lot going on. Oh, if only Estelle knew exactly what was going on in the Bose region right now. And let's fly! Yeah, let's not leave Agathe and Olivier behind, and Chloe. So it's time for another airship ride. All of the chapters have followed a pretty strict formula so far. But something that you may have noticed, there are still a ton more chests left in the game, and we're already on chapter 5. But we're also actually getting pretty close to being done with recipes. Let's just say, for good reasons, there will be exponentially more chests in later chapters and exponentially less recipes. Meanwhile... Oh, okay, this scene. Yeah, I think I know what this scene is. So yeah, now Ouroboros has developed large-scale mind control via the Gospels. Definitely not something we should let them get their hands on. As I've said before, knowing what Weissman did to Joshua, you can only imagine what he would do if he had a wide-scale mind control device. So these have all been experiments for Ouroboros, but ironically, we've been using them to gather data on the Gospels too. It's kind of interesting. It's basically like we're kind of hijacking their own experiments to perform experiments of our own. And so it's technobabble time. I hope you're prepared. So, yeah, earlier we would have thought that this thing was basically casting a mass silence on everything. I like how even the silence status is basically, like, fully explained in-game. Yeah, we kind of worked this out earlier. When Kevin broke the Kronos rod, the Gospel was forced to absorb all of the energy that came out of it, and that was too much for it to handle. That also gives the implication that the energy in the Kronos rod alone is significantly more than the orbal energy of an entire town that specializes in orbal technology. Because the Gospel from FC siphoning Zeiss didn't short itself out. That should really tell you something about those artifacts. Yeah, EP is actually a measuring system in universe. I just love the gameplay and story integration in these games. So, yeah, we know, if the laws of the real world apply here, that energy cannot be created or destroyed, so what's happening? I mean, it's entirely possible that science as we know it in Zemuria is just wrong. Interesting. So, yeah. There's something behind the Gospels that's making all of this magic happen. Yeah, all the energy these Gospels are absorbing is going somewhere. Going to whatever is powering them. Yeah, if all of this info is right, there's something much, much stronger at the heart of all of this. something very, very, very powerful that these Gospels are just acting as conduits for. So yeah, Gospel literally means good news. So yeah, they are spreading the influence of something else. I can already think of a theory as to what this major force might be. Well, that's short and to the point. And remember, 10 years ago was, yeah, during the 100 Days War. So that shows that we're in pretty dire straits right now. If we could shut that off, we can stop devices from going inert around them, and that would certainly help. And what's the current invention he's working on? Well, we're not going to find out yet. Here we are, back on the airship. And once again, it's another talk to everyone situation. So, as I said before, every party member that you brought to the boss fight in Chapter 4 will have extra dialogue where they describe the dreams that they had while they were under the influence of Luciola's mist and her bewitching powers. Well, Olivier certainly made a very weird first impression, but, I mean, who wouldn't he make a strange first impression on? You know, that is true. As much as Olivier kinda sounds like a pervert when he says this, it's true that Estelle has grown a lot since they first met. Olivier's whole thing on beauty, there is some meaning behind it when you look past all of the, well, this. And I'm now imagining just someone coming out of nowhere and slapping him in the face. Yeah, Schera, I'm sure Schera knows a lot about that kind of stuff. In fact, I'm pretty sure that you and Schera have already had those kind of conversations before. And this is practically Estelle's catchphrase whenever she's around Olivier. You need to talk to them twice to get that report on their dreams, though. Now, I didn't actually bring Olivier just because of the dream. I mostly brought people who I thought would work well in that fight. Olivier's dream conversation is not all that interesting. In fact, there are quite a few dream conversations that I haven't seen at all, so if any of you brought different party members to that fight, please tell me in the comments what the other characters say, because I'd be interested to hear. So, Olivier seems kind of obvious. She says with a very dissonant smile. But as Estelle's implying here, it's very likely that he was blatantly lying about that dream. and that his real dream was something quite different and much more personal. Unfortunately, because a lot of Olivier is still a mystery right now, he's not going to tell us what he actually dreamed of. But if you know certain revelations about his character, it's very interesting to think what his dream could have been like, I'll just say. I'm sure many of you are dying to find out what his actual deal is, and don't worry, we will eventually, but it's still a bit too early for that. Well, yeah, unfortunately, we know that the the strongest enforcer currently here, and the absolute worst morally, are in the region. Oh boy, that. Well, considering the bill that Olivier racked up there, probably, yeah, not a great idea. Honestly, I usually find those super expensive restaurants tend to be just very, very overrated. You tend to just get small portions of kind of, I don't know, food that's just... I'm not really a big fan of them, I'll just say. Yeah, you know what? That's perfectly fine. Always prioritize not crashing over getting to a destination on time. You know, anything that keeps them, you know, not fighting battles where they could die, I'm sure they'd approve of. Now, my notes actually say to talk to Tita 3 times here. And I only vaguely remember why. Yeah, Tita's never actually been to this region before. I mean, as much as you like the department store in Gransell, I'm sure you'll like this one. It's not quite as upmarket as that one. It's a bit more of a kind of local thing. A lot of local produce, homemade goods. Much more communal, I think is the word. Actually, we stopped there quite a few times. And yes, we have heard that name before. Yeah, you and Agate must have talked quite a lot over the past few months. Yeah, that's true. Plus, I'm sure Tita is very envious. In other words, he's tsundere. Yes, otherwise known as the morality pet, according to TV tropes. Yep, I bet you wish you were in her position. Okay, we've got a few more people up here, and you look exactly like Mayor Klaus, but you're not Mayor Klaus. Yeah, people are still going on about the non-aggression pact, but to be honest, it's a pretty important event in the history of all of Zemuria. Oh, Nebel Valley, yeah, that place. Hopefully the monsters in there aren't as brutal this time around as they were when we were first there. It's not that bad if you come back there a little later in Chapter 1 of FC, but if you go there at the first opportunity that you can, you tend to get destroyed. Yeah, much harder to hide the existence of Ouroboros now that an entire region got blanketed in fog that then just suddenly vanished after a few days. Yeah, the Valeria Lakeshore. We've been there a couple of times. Yeah, Estelle had a lot on her mind. I don't really blame her for it, especially since Joshua was with bandits at the time. Opening up about it easily could have gotten him arrested. And back to this again. You know, Estelle, there's something called psychological projection. I feel like you're kind of doing it now. Oh yeah, you didn't know about this. She posed as Genis Royal Academy students. That ruse would have instantly been up if Chloe was there. Because I'm sure Chloe pretty much remembers everyone at that academy. Well, maybe. Unless this just shows how generally nice Chloe is to people. Maybe it's more that your personalities are a bit too similar, including in one very specific area, hint, Joshua hints, that, you would, yeah, there would be even more friction. Well, yeah, but our rank is slowly climbing. Estelle, no one is. Don't compare yourself to him. As Zin is saying right now. It also means that, they're so powerful that Erebony considers it a national emergency if they set foot on their soil. For those who don't know, that is in fact canon. You find that out in Trails in the Sky the Third. You see a bit of a report from Erebonia about the, about Campanella's attacks on the Bracer Guilds, and it's kind of interesting. Oh yes, one of these phrases. Yeah, martial arts has a lot of these, terms that are a bit, kind of hard to wrap your head around. You know, I'm always reminded a bit of the term Pokemon Master in the Pokemon anime, which is something that they still have not clearly defined. Well, that's a little bit extreme, but okay then. And now I'm really wondering what this term was in Japanese. Yeah, true. Having Cassius as an enemy would, not be a good position. And that's the position that Ouroboros is in right now, so, yeah. They pretty much have it coming, though. So yeah, that's the thing. They lured him out of the country specifically because they didn't want to have to deal with him. Although this is a bit terrifying to think of. It could be either one of them, or it could be someone else entirely. Oh, you say that now. Yeah, Zin, as established back in, FC, is extremely good at analysing people based on their fighting styles. He did that with Olivier as well. And yeah, those two are certainly connected in some way. Joshua definitely knows him as well. So that's another mystery that we have to unravel. Yeah, it seems like most of us have some connection to somebody in the society. Yeah, being from Calvard, I'm not entirely sure how you feel about that. Zin doesn't really seem to hold any prejudice against Erebodians, though, from what I can tell. Okay, so you have been there. I kind of wonder what Jill would have been looking to buy. Now, from what yeah, okay, we're gonna go ahead and talk to Schera last. Well, that's a sure sign that you should probably land and wait for the fog to clear. I've actually once been in a car, like, driving up of a sort of mountain during, very thick fog, and it was actually kind of terrifying, because a bus came out of nowhere, basically, almost right into us. So, yeah, probably not a good idea to drive in fog that thick. And the singing helmsman is still at it. Oh, there's Agate. Now, is there anyone down here in the cargo hold? Nope. Yeah, not to mention the cats that temporarily invaded this airship. But hey there, Agate. So Agate's another person that I brought to that fight, so we're gonna see some extra dialogue from him. Well, our wandering will be over very soon. Seems like that was the theme for everyone. They dreamed of their childhoods. So it's particularly fitting that we get this before we're going to Bose, because we will be going back to Agate's hometown soon. It just happened to work out this way because I like using him for that boss fight. Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of sure he is. That is true. But if you remember all the way back to FC, there was one house in that town that was always locked. Oh, I'm sure we'll have a reason to visit. But yeah, I made sure to show that house in FC for a reason. You afraid of another Teeter and Ren situation? Well, minus one of them turning out to be an enforcer and, trying to kill a bunch of people. Estelle certainly has. But, well... I mean, Estelle didn't exactly do the best job with Ren, so I'm not entirely sure if she can fully count herself as an ace babysitter yet. Oh yeah, well, I'm sure at the very least there'll be a side quest that drags you there, so you're doomed either way. And now, with all of that out of the way, it's finally time to talk to Schera, as she was the one who was most affected by the events of the previous chapter. Well, she is using her same stage name as her Enforcer title, so that, in hindsight, was quite obvious. So another person like Weissman, who has access to some form of non-orbal magic. So we finally know her story. Well, when she's old enough, of course. So, I probably don't even need to say this, but wow, that's a great scene. That line just sums up Estelle so well, and I love how Schera's mentioning that she doesn't need to live up to Cassius because she is her own person. She's very different from him. She has her own strength, and in a way it might be a strength that he lacks. And that particular strength of hers might be exactly what we need. And on that note, here we are in the Bose region. So as you can probably tell, our first port of call is going to be to check in at the Bracer Guild and see what's going on. This was originally Kitty's planned destination, but she's not here because, if Bloom has her way, she'll be staying in Roland forever. Reminds me of that thing with Milan with, would you like to stay forever? Yeah, this is a lot of very well-known people in one place. Plus, you know, the princess of Le Beurre. I mean, Rising Star is cool and all, but why do you have to add Rookie to the end of the title? Well, they didn't really stop anything, but... Well, what Estelle's saying is kind of true, but at least she put a stop to things before anyone could get seriously hurt. If Estelle hadn't intervened in those experiments, who knows what would have ended up happening. It's definitely possible that Volta may have hit somewhere even worse with an earthquake if they didn't get to him in time. To bring up one example. So yeah, situation report. Well, that is extremely suspicious, as we know from the Roland region. But this place is close to a lot of major military installations and is right on the Erebonian border, so... yeah, it is one of the most highly guarded areas, and there's also this, though. So, this chapter is actually kind of interesting in the beginning. We're gonna have a few mandatory monster quests to deal with. Just like our visit to Bose in FC, things are a bit more open at this point. We have access to a lot of areas, and we basically have some mandatory side quest time right now. Ten is an awful lot. That's way more than we've ever handled in one chapter. Don't worry, you won't have to deal with 10. Some of them are already dealt with, but that is a lot of dangerous monsters showing up in one place in a short span of time, which obviously means the society is making them aggressive somehow. Of course, Agate is, particularly... This is particularly personal to Agate, because this is his home region, after all. Oh, don't say that! Please stop doing the Tales of Symphonia thing! That never ever ends well! You know, I think I might know who that is. Hey, it's Mare Maybell! I still really like Mare Maybell. She's one of my favorite NPCs in the Sky series. She's just one of the nicest, like, business-savvy characters I've ever seen in any piece of fiction. Yeah, remember when you had to bust us out of prison? Because General Morgan was being a jerk? Good times, I guess. She doesn't really know about exactly what we've been doing, but she knows as much as the papers can print. Yeah, Chloe's grades were so good that she could end the school term early. Living out the dream of, like, every kid ever. As I said, Chloe's been here before. You find this out if you talk to Mayor Maybell at Janus Royal Academy during the festival in FC. Yeah, you two probably know each other. Agate is a bracer who lives in the region. He's probably had to do a lot of things around here. I get the feeling that Mayor Maybell just hit a nerve there. Oh yeah, this. Yeah, that's a simple way to put it. That's not a lot of pressure at all. And honestly, Society of Supervillains is exactly how you would describe them. Well, it's good to know that we have her help for anything we need. Well, we know where that is. It's the pretty big house that's kind of close to the cafe. I would say it's just across from the market, but everything in this town is just across from the market, so that's not a very good description. Something's very clearly bothering him. But now's not the time to ask about that. Now it's time to get involved with our now it's just time. We've got a job to do. There are 3 mandatory monster quests that we have to deal with. And yep, they're shown here. We have one in Crone Pass. Extremely strong direct attacks. Check armor thoroughly. Okay then. One in Nebel Valley, so obviously can freeze you. And one in Amberl Tower, which actually means that Amberl Tower is the only tower so far that is required. There's also some pretty good items in Amberl Tower as well. There are a ton of chests in there. And so, because this is Agate's home region, he is the one forced into our party this time. So it's back to old times for me, because I took the Agate route. If you're on the Schera route earlier, this will be kind of new territory for you. Yeah, in fact, it'll be the first time that Agate's forced if you're on that route, besides the very end of Chapter 3. You probably should have objections, because this means that you and Agate being in the same party is now a little bit of redundancy, but oh well. Well, I mean, he wants to protect his home. That makes sense. So, I can go ahead and swap my party later, so it doesn't really matter who I choose here. I guess I'll just pick these 2 for now.